Tu es à la boutique déjà?
Are you already at the store?
Ok.
I'll be right there.
Je vais pas tarder.
Yvette Sibomé is one of Lomé's most influential businesswomen. Every morning, she starts the day by checking in on all her shops.
How's it going today? Have you sold anything yet?
42-year-old Yvette runs a multi-million business. She became successful thanks to this vibrantly colored and intricately patterned fabric called wax print, a common material in Africa that has also become popular in the Western world.
It's a luxury product. The half piece costs 100 euros. So for Africa, it's very expensive.
Yvette handles all her international exports from her store in the capital Lomé. Wax print in Africa is not just a fashion statement. Over time, it's become a way for women to carry out their message into the world.
Most loincloths have a particular meaning. It can be related to what goes in a family or with current political and social affairs. The theme of this one is jealousy. You see these two birds looking at each other. It's a metaphor for the rivalry that can exist between two wives in an African household. Here you have the ungrateful man. You can give him everything, give him absolutely everything, and yet he will always go see elsewhere. So this speaks of marital infidelity.
Yvette learned everything there is to know about the wax print industry with her mother. In Togo, wax print trade has become a tradition, passed on from one generation of women to the other. It has even given rise to one of the most significant success stories in Africa, the Nana Benz movement and their heirs, the Nanettes, women who made a true fortune through the wax print trade. This shop in the center of Lomé is also a family business, run by 25-year-old MAEVA AZIABLE.
Take a look at this wax. This is good quality. Can you sell it to me for 45,000? Okay, 45,000.
MAEVA says she grew up with wax print fabric and that she was handed down all the secrets of the industry by her mother and her grandmother, who still keeps an eye on the shop. At 77, the businesswoman never misses an opportunity to take visitors on a tour of the family museum set up on the second floor. To tell her story, Margaret LAWSON slips into her traditional wax print garment.
I dedicated this part of the museum to my mother. Here, she's in front of her shop, MANATEX, and here we are, the two of us, in front of a store. People really admired her.
Margaret's mother was one of several prosperous businesswomen in Togo in the 1970s. The key to their success, an unparalleled business acumen that quickly made them the only wax fabric dealers in West Africa.
We have very fond memories. The money was flowing. You see, it was the good life back then.
These women traders became the first millionaires on the continent, a strong symbol of women's emancipation. Today, they've earned the nickname of Benz girls because of the Mercedes-Benz some of them drove.
Here is my mother, standing proud in front of her Benz. She's the first one to have bought a Benz. My mother loved what was beautiful, what's solid. The most solid car at the time was a Mercedes-Benz.
There are dozens of other families like Margaret's in Togo. From the 1970s to the end of the 1980s, these women swiftly rose to prominence and invested in real estate luxury homes throughout Lomé. On the sidelines of these success stories, smaller businesses sprung up, and wax fabric became a driving force of the Togolese economy. These bold, bright prints are recognized across the world as quintessentially African, yet they were originally forged by Dutch colonial companies attempting to reproduce traditional Javanese batik cloth. When it failed to take off in Asia, Dutch traders began selling the print in West Africa. One company in particular started mass producing it, the iconic Vlisco. 170 years later, their fabric can be found on the most prestigious runways worldwide. Vlisco is the top wax print seller in Europe and Africa. In 2014, the company declared a turnover of nearly 300 million euros.
Everyone knows Vlisco. It's the most famous brand in Africa.
Vlisco is the starting point of the incredible adventure of the Nanettes movement. In the 1970s, several bold businesswomen signed an exclusive agreement with the Dutch brand, becoming the only resellers of wax prints throughout West Africa. Louis-Philippe Barthé, who manages the branch in Togo, says they helped lift an entire country.
The story started with women who would travel to Ghana to buy fabric and would resell in Togo. When the economic crisis hit Ghana in the 1950s, the business moved to Togo, and these very knowledgeable women took over the industry and made it into something extraordinary. They've helped the city a lot, so they were very appreciated. That's what made them successful.
The Nanettes' golden age, however, didn't last. By the end of the 1990s, the West African currency, the CFA franc, was devalued by 50%. Customers turned to low-cost alternatives, and new competitors entered the market. 30 years later, Chinese counterfeit products have flooded shops throughout Lomé. Sylvain Combaté has been a fashion designer in the capital for 4 years. He says he's become accustomed to buying counterfeit products on the market.
Here is the fabric for the dress. It's a dress that was ordered by one of my clients.
His favorite brand is Chinese maker Target, which has become a hit in Togo. Its greatest asset, unbeatably low prices.
For example, one full piece of Vlisco fabric can cost as much as 60,000 CFA francs. But with Target, for that price, you can purchase at least 10 pieces of fabric. And that way, you can fill your whole wardrobe.
The cost of its fabric is 10 times cheaper, and the designs and colors look the same as the authentic Dutch wax prints.
It's the same patterns because the Chinese are copying the original Vlisco patterns. Sometimes they even write Vlisco on the fabric, but it's not Vlisco. It's made by the Chinese.
To offer such low prices, Chinese companies do not print their patterns on real wax. Instead, they use a much more basic printing technique. On the other side of town, Sylvain Combaté is meeting with his mentor, Nanettes, in his workshop. She's an influential designer who has launched her own fashion school. Over the years, she has become accustomed to seeing cheap Asian counterfeits in every store.
When you look at the colors, you may think it's the same thing, but when you touch it and when you wear it, you can feel the difference. Dutch wax print is much more flexible and soft. This fabric is much harder and it doesn't fall the same way.
Nanettes says Chinese brands are looking to purposely deceive consumers.
Straight away, when you see the label, you can see that it is not the label of real Dutch wax. Here it says, real Dutch little wax. They put wax with something next to it.
So Little Dutchman is Chinese?
Yes, it's counterfeit, because that's not Dutch, not even a little bit.
These counterfeit products are prohibited in Togo, and the Dutch firm Vlisco has been increasing its efforts to have them banned. Faced with this foreign low-cost competition, the wax print trade has had to reinvent itself, giving birth to a new generation of women entrepreneurs known as the Nanettes.
Bonsoir, bonne arrivée.
Marlene ADANLETE is the granddaughter of a Nana Benz matriarch.
Let's unfold it. Have you had a look?
But she has a whole other vision of how she wants to run her business. She's created her own brand, designs all her loincloths herself here in Africa, but has them printed in China.
Salut! Comment tu vas?
First, she chooses the design with her stylist.
See, here I would say that the orange should be deeper.
Several times a month, GRACIAS comes to showcase his latest creative ideas.
The next collection will be much more ethnic and will bring out a modern African touch. With our geometric designs, we want to try to stand out while also remaining in the spirit of the African loincloth.
Like the Nana Benz before her, Marlene is now set to conquer foreign countries with new modern designs.
We try to take into account the specificities of each country. So you can see here these traditional loincloths we've created for Burkina Faso. These ones are more for the Nigerian clientele who like patterns with lots of blue. Customers from the Ivory Coast like very flashy colours. There's this pink, which people love.
2/3 of her company's sales are in Togo and other African countries. The remaining third is exported to Western customers in Europe and the United States. To meet demand, Marlene supervises the manufacturing process herself in her workshop on the outskirts of Lomé.
Let me show you one style that was a huge hit. It's this skirt. Women love it. With leather on one side. It's sold really well in the United States.
Here, all pieces are made from Chinese fabrics.
It's true a lot of people have a negative image of Chinese goods. They automatically see it as bad quality, but it's not true. They've started producing very good quality. That's why we ended up working with Chinese suppliers. They really meet customer expectations on quality and price.
Marlene's pieces are sold for prices ranging between 20 and 150 euros everywhere in the world. And she's not the only young woman to have embarked on the adventure of entrepreneurship. Other Nanettes are betting on niche markets. JACQUIE ATANDJI is one of them. She's determined to use wax even in the smallest details. Her idea is simple: extend wax print to other objects outside the wardrobe.
Among our most popular products, we have wax notebooks like this. We also have eyeglass cases that are selling quite well. Here, the latest collection of lamps is a mixture of wax and basin with a cotton ribbon.
JACQUIE is a vanguard and a self-made woman, as she created her line of accessories more than 14 years ago.
You have to diversify your product. People won't always buy bags or pouches. Would you like to try this one?
JACQUIE ATANDJI is targeting high-end customers who are seeking the Made in Africa label.
I have about 10 craftsmen in Togo and 10 in the sub-region. There can be as many as 4 of us working on one piece. I design, and other specialists can work on leather and wooden parts. That's my style.
As worthy heirs of the Nana Benz, the Nanettes are helping revive Togo's wax prints market. And whether it's made in the Netherlands or in China, the colorful fabric is pursuing its quest to conquer the world.